My name is Lydia Tippett, and this is Newsela. In this presentation, I will cover Newsela's goals and audience, Meyer's Multimedia Principles, particularly segmenting, coherence, and spatial contiguity, diversity and equity, motivation, and improvements. Newsela is just that, a website that combines news and English language arts. It takes stories from over 100 worldwide news sources such as the Associated Press, USA Today, and the Washington Post and turns them into cross-content leveled reading for students grade 2 through 12. Newsela also includes specific content areas like science, social studies, culture, and social-emotional learning. All stories are standard aligned so that teachers can supplement and/or enhance curriculum. Overall, the goal of Newsela is to provide students with ELA material that is relevant, representative, engaging, and consistently updated. There are a variety of ways in which Newsela addresses Meyer's multimedia principles. It addresses the segmenting principle, which states that people learn better when a multimedia message is presented in user-paced segments rather than as a continuous unit. Unlike a print newspaper, students are not looking at a page with multiple articles. Instead, there is one article at a time, organized with headings for different sections. Students are not timed and can choose their Lexile level. When students are ready to move on, they can choose a suggested related article or an option from a text set. Essentially, learning is chunked so that students are not overwhelmed. Newsela also addresses the coherence principle, which highlights the importance of minimizing extraneous material. When students are reading, only necessary information is included: the article, a few supporting images, captions, Lexile level, and a tab for the activities. Students are not overburdened with extraneous load, so they are able to focus on the content. Newsela addresses the spatial contiguity principle, which states people learn better when corresponding words and pictures are presented near rather than far from each other on the page or screen. Captions are always placed directly under the image, and the activities are on the same screen as the article. This makes it easy to refer to the text rather than toggling back and forth, which enhances comprehension. Newsela places a significant emphasis on diversity and accessibility. Its Access and Equity page states, every student deserves to have access to instructional content that excites, empowers, and unlocks their potential. One way this is accomplished is through the content itself. Content is added daily to cover a range of topics and diverse perspectives, so every student feels represented and empowered. There are stories about racial justice, the LGBTQ+ community, gender equality, Native American rights, people who have special needs, child activists, and more. This diverse content is made accessible with built-in speech-to-text capabilities. Additionally, all stories can be accessed at 5 reading levels, which can be easily adjusted by students and teachers. A great deal of Newsela content is written in Spanish. Students can easily switch between the English and Spanish versions of a text and adjust the Lexile level in either language. Newsela is also compliant with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Every image has alt text and meets color contrast standards. The website is operable from a keyboard, uses consistent elements in simple language, and works with assistive technology. Teachers can also utilize annotations to provide instructions, model thinking, or extend student learning. Since some students will be reading at different levels, teachers can switch between Lexiles to scaffold annotations to be appropriate for specific learners. Students can also create their own annotations that their teacher can see, which creates dialogue and adds additional support. Now we venture into the ways Newsela addresses motivation. According to Edward Deci, motivation is the energy for action. Intrinsic motivation is doing something because it is inherently interesting or enjoyable. Extrinsic motivation is doing something because it leads to a separable outcome. Newsela shies away from extrinsic in favor of intrinsic. It does this by addressing what Daniel Pink calls the core drivers: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Autonomy comes into play in the form of text sets. Text sets are groups of articles that share a common theme. Rather than assigning a single article about the 2020 election, a teacher can assign a text set. Then, students have the autonomy to decide which text to read. Students are therefore motivated by their personal choice. Mastery. This is addressed with built-in quizzes. After students have read an article, they complete a quiz. They receive a score and are able to review their answers. This score is then logged in their progress report. Students are able to view their average lexile level and notice their growth over time. It even keeps track of their annotations so that students can reflect on their skills. With the emphasis on growing towards mastery rather than obtaining immediate perfection, or by competing against one another, students are motivated to push themselves. In order to make personal improvements, students will read more challenging texts and be more accountable note takers. And finally, purpose. Students need to believe that what they are learning matters. This is where Newsela thrives. The texts are relevant and thought-provoking. They cover almost any topic one could think of, including current events, kids and teens, politics, law, culture, sports, holidays, science, technology, and good news. And because there are new articles every day, it is always up to date. Students see themselves reflected in what they are reading and make real-world connections that motivate them to think critically. Newsela addresses many of Myers' multimedia principles, motivation, and diversity. But in education, we are always striving to improve. Knowing that social interactions can enhance learning, I believe that with opportunities for collaboration, students would be even more motivated. It is wonderful that Newsela works so diligently to provide Spanish texts, but even more students could access texts if they were written in more languages. Another improvement would be to consider Myers' pre-training principle. This could be done by adding vocabulary supports like a built-in dictionary or vocabulary cards. This would decrease intrinsic load so that students could focus on higher-level thinking. And finally, short videos could enhance understanding or clarify sections of the text. In conclusion, Newsela is engaging, real-world English language arts content that is thoughtfully designed and motivating for students.